let's hop in though. I don't know if you remember back in the day, Sunil, but they used to have, we didn't have the internet and all those things that we could check scores. We had to wait for paper headlines the next day, old
Right.
school newspaper headlines. And it was usually like a 3 or 4 word headline that would come out, and that would give you like the overarching thought of the game. And then you would go and read about it with the box score and everything. So, with that being said, you don't necessarily have to do a headline, although I've got one that I think is pretty good. That being said, you don't have to give that. However, just tell me the story of the game or give me a headline, both, whatever you want to do.
So on the spot freestyle headline: 49ers lose in win.
Ooh, I like it. Okay, okay. Talk us through this one.
So obviously, one of the bigger takeaways is going to be knowing what ends up happening with the injuries that went down. When you see Bosa and Mosley go down in one game, that is extremely concerning, just because there's already two starters along that defensive line that aren't playing in Kinlaw and Armstead. Excuse me. Bosa was leading the league in sacks, was playing out of his mind. For him to go down, and then Mosley once again having a really great season. Him and Ward are one of the best cornerback duos in the league right now. For him to go down, hopefully we hear that they're all temporary injuries and they could come back. And then something that was kind of under the radar just because we haven't seen him play all this year, Jimmy Ward goes out early in the game for another and is ruled out because of a hand injury. So that's not even the same injury he went out for or was on the IR for. So those are three very integral parts of the 49ers defense. Not to mention along the line a couple other injuries. So there gets a point, Jesse, where all of these injuries you can't keep making up the difference with backup players. And I don't know, 49ers are definitely pushing that line to see where how far they could get without having their stars in the lineup.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the injuries a little bit later because there certainly is a lot to talk about. The headline I'm going to go with is the 49ers get offensive, right? They put up 30 points today, 37 or whatever it was technically, but the offense came up with 30-ish, more like 24, whatever. It is the highest scoring offensive game they've had all season long. So I think that is a headline. We're going to talk about whether that was them being really good or the Panthers being really bad, maybe a mix, but a lot of players really stepped up today. I thought the receivers all played really good. Yak was certainly there. Jimmy started out shaky early, but I think he did some really good things. I want to give him credit for the throw to Tevin Coleman. Now, I know that Coleman made a spectacular catch down the sideline, but one thing that has frustrated people with Jimmy Garoppolo is that he normally doesn't give his players a chance on those 50-50 balls. He did that. That's all you can ask for.
Mm-hmm.
Coleman came down with it, worked out in his favor. So I think overall the offense looked good, and that was really despite a Kittle fumble, which kind of sucks because I think it's his birthday today. So they tried to feed him early, started out great, and then it didn't go so well once he fumbled. But overall, I thought the offense continuously moved the ball. And I don't think the Panthers have that bad of a defense. They certainly had some players that were out,
They're
but
ranked 15th.
been pretty good overall. So for them to score as many points as they did and move the ball as much as they did, I thought it was pretty impressive. So for me, that was my newspaper headline going into tomorrow.
Yeah, and sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah, the Panthers are middle of the pack. Their defense was ranked 15th going into this game.
Yeah, so not horrible at all. So okay.
Yeah, and I think when you mentioned the offense, one big kudos needs to go to this rushing attack, and especially the interior offensive line, because more than I've seen maybe throughout the season, the 49ers ran right behind the center guard option in the middle, and we're getting great success. I think the combination of Wilson and Coleman is going to be what we see from this point on. All of us Jordan Mason fans, including me, got to give up on that dream of Jordan Mason getting some more touches because Coleman played great today. Obviously, we know Shanahan loves Coleman, so I think we're going to see a Wilson Jr. Coleman backfield, and I'm actually kind of happy about it because this was the most balanced rushing attack that we've seen as far as even amount of touches for running backs from throughout the whole season. Even in the beginning when Elijah Mitchell was there, Jeff Wilson wasn't having that much success. This is the first game all season where there's two running backs that both played really well, and we hadn't seen that. So I don't know if we could necessarily correlate that right away. The season will tell us. But if they could have two running backs that could perform in the same game, that probably bodes well for a offense that likes to run the ball a lot.
Yeah, and Elijah Mitchell really should be back after the bye week, from what I understand. So we've got 3 more games without Elijah. Then you got the bye week. He should be back after that, hopefully. So, yeah, I agree with you. It doesn't really matter who the second guy is. Tevin Coleman definitely turned back the clocks today. But you're right. Just splitting carries is a huge deal. We've talked about this, how Shanahan, for the last 2 years or so, has really started to favor a running back, runs them into the ground, and then it's next man up. It's an interesting thing. So I'm glad that he has a second running back that he can trust, regardless of who that is. And if that's Coleman and Coleman can look this good, I'll take it for sure. Absolutely. Dylan says, is this now Jimmy's team from now on going in the future? I don't see how the Niners just let him go and not compete for the job next season. I don't know. I think it's way too early to even care about that, to be honest, Dylan. But since you did pay, I will answer the question. I don't think anything we see from Jimmy or have seen from him thus far is anything different than what Jimmy is. So if they want Jimmy to be on this team going forward, then I would imagine that would have been a decision that is already made, and they're going to try to work that out. I don't think we're going to see anything special from Jimmy that it's like, oh man, we just have to keep him around that we hadn't seen prior. So to me, I don't know what that decision is. I don't think that they're looking at it going, man, Jimmy is just something we didn't expect, have to keep him. That decision will be made at the end of the season. I think a lot of it will come into how healthy is Trey, who else is out there available. There's going to be a lot of veteran quarterbacks that were starters, guys like Mayfield, Wentz. Now, guys you may not want, but a lot of veteran quarterbacks who have been starters for a long time in this league that are going to be available as backups going into next year. So we'll see how it plays out. What are your thoughts on it, Sunil?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it looks good right now, coming off of a two-game win streak, but we're only 3 weeks removed from when everybody was like, oh my God, this is the worst quarterback play we've ever seen in a 49er jersey with, how Jimmy played against Denver. I think Jimmy is giving the 49ers exactly what they expected. That he took a pay cut for a reason. That was because there were no other teams out there that were willing to give him the contract or the opportunity that he was looking for. And, he's going to be a starter somewhere else, or at least on another team trying for a starting job. I think they would only need to bring Jimmy back, like you said, if Trey is not going to come back healthy, because I didn't see anything that Jimmy's done that Trey can't do, other than the fact that, Trey obviously can't because he's injured right now. So I think that unless they could get Jimmy on a $6 million deal like they have him right now, I don't really see a path where the 49ers are going to bring him back for big money, because I assume that's what he's going to be looking for, at least, 10 to 15 million per year to play next season.
I agree. I think that's a good point. Let's not forget that Jimmy, it ultimately is his decision. Even if the 49ers want to bring him back, he's a free agent. They can't franchise tag him. They can't force him to do anything. It's going to be Jimmy that decides that. And if Jimmy is going to come here with no guarantee to start, if he does well this year, I don't know if that's something he necessarily wants to deal with. And are the 49ers able and willing to give him $15, $20, $25 million for next year? I see that highly unlikely. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But I think it's just way too early to even worry about that. Let's just get some wins. and figure it out from there is kind of where I'm at with it.